All right, hello everybody. Okay, we are in Module 4, which is our midterm week. And I just want to make sure that we are having the best experience possible with this proctored midterm. Have gotten a few questions, but so far things seem to be working okay. I've seen some of you already scheduled the exam, which is great, but I just want to hit home on a few more of these points before we get started. I do recommend that you watch last week's update video if you didn't, because I talk more about the proctored experience. I talk about what's on the exam, how to prepare for it, all of that. So I may just touch on that briefly in this video, but I go in some more detail in the previous video. Let's jump back in about the ProctorU piece. So this, one of the things that I've added just in case, and so far so good, we haven't had any issues, but do not take the exam that you see listed here. You can click on this link and you can take the exam. However, your points will be nullified because you didn't take the exam within the ProctorU environment. So you want to make sure that you, and for those of you that have scheduled, it looks like you're fully on track. We have about, 20% of you have already scheduled. So, but however, when you are ready to take the exam, of course, all of you need to schedule, like soon. get your times. We have plenty of times available all the way until Wednesday of next week for you to take this exam. So go in there and schedule your time. Now, when it comes time to take your exam, you will, let's just pull up my emergency note here. So stop here before taking the exam, okay? Because I don't want anybody to do it by accident, which could happen. You could just take it without being in the ProctorU environment. So again, you'll see my warning here. I've beaten that to death. But your scores, may be nullified if you take it without being proctored. On the date of your exam that you've already scheduled or will soon schedule, you will go back to ProctorU, and the exam, you'll have it located there. You will follow their process to take the exam. Now, there's a link I gave them that's going to link you back to Canvas. So you are going to come back to Canvas, but you're only going to do that within that ProctorU environment. So it's, that exam, what they're seeing on your screen. You got the Guardian browser. If you don't know what that means, I'll talk about that briefly. But again, watch last week's video. You will take the exam within that environment, and then your scores will count. So that's what you want to do. Just make sure you follow those instructions, and you'll be absolutely fine. All right, let me go back to the modules, and I'll hit on this one more time. And again, you can always refer to last week's Module 3 video. So please watch. Please go through these instructions. The ProctorU student instructions are very helpful and should make this nearly painless for everybody. Nearly. There's always going to be some issue. Typically, with out of 100 students, I might have 1 or 2 that have an issue that's really outside of anything that we could have predicted. But if you follow these instructions, you should be fine. You will prepare yourself. You will understand how it's going to be on that day. You will understand what kind of testing environment you need to be in, what kind of equipment you need to have. All of that would be clearly laid out here. Watch the little video. It's like 6 minutes long they have in there on what to expect on exam day. That will save you some pain. I actually went through one of these proctored tests with a certification exam, and they gave me very minimal information about how that exam was going to be administered. And it was very frustrating that when I got in there, like for example, I didn't realize I couldn't have dual monitors. So I'm ripping my monitors out. I'm trying to meet my exam window. I got the proctor, who's a real person at this point, was waiting for me to do that. And I had to put all my junk, outside the room. And had I just known, I guess what was required ahead of time, it would have made the experience nearly painless. Okay. Plus it's already an exam, so you're kind of worried about that. If you follow these instructions here and you really read them, you should have a nearly painless experience with ProctorU. So please follow these ProctorU student instructions. I would also download and review the 5-step student guide. making sure I had that phone number available to me for ProctorU help should I have a technical issue. All right, so there's that. So again, make sure, do not take that exam here. Okay, do not take it within Canvas. Make sure you're taking that exam by following the steps within ProctorU to take the exam. Okay, and then you should be fine. Now, I did get a question about exam content and also exam parameters, because there's always parameters about these tests, what you can use and what you can't use. Well, everything on this midterm is from modules 1 through 4. Okay, so make sure you've completed all of that. The questions will be very similar, if not very similar, to questions you had on the quizzes. Okay, so make sure, or I would recommend that you review your quizzes. Also, I provide a midterm summary review, kind of condensing down the sort of essential information that was within each of the chapters, and it was pretty aligned to what shows up on the midterm. Now, it's not totally comprehensive of what's on the midterm, but in my opinion, if you studied the quizzes and the midterm summary review and had a pretty good grasp on those answers and that content, you should do very well on the midterm. Okay, so that should help you there. Materials. So there are no materials allowed on the exam. And ProctorU knows that because I had to tell them. I had to tell them what was allowed. So you are, no notes, no open book. I know a lot of you for the quizzes, obviously they're open book, open note, that's fine. But for the midterm, that's not going to be allowed. So it's just purely your memory. That's all the preceptor is going to look for, making sure you have no books, notes, or anything else around. So make sure you do that. And if you kind of do those steps, make sure you review all the ProctorU support materials we have in the module, study the support materials that I provided in the module for the content, and also review your previous quizzes, and make sure you take that darn exam within that ProctorU environment. You should be absolutely fine. Again, I think things are looking good so far. Again, we have a good chunk of you have scheduled already. That looks good, but nobody else has actually taken the exam. So I just wanted to make sure before we get going on this week any further, it is Tuesday right now, that we kind of hopefully have addressed a lot of those questions centered around the midterm. Now, if you do all those steps, guys, you should do very good, if not excellent, on that midterm exam. If you do have any questions, please feel free to text me. If I have my phone next to me, oh, here it is. Yeah, make sure to text me. I've had a few of you text me about some questions with it, so hopefully they were answered last week. If not, I've answered them here this week. So best of luck on the exam. Honestly, you won't even need any luck if you follow those steps, and you should do really, really well on the exam. And that's pretty much it for this week, and I'll check in with everybody next week. Thanks.